So what is the current status of this Bitcoin bull market? Is it still a bull market? Are we going to see higher highs? Is this just a short dip before we see a new all-time high? Or was 124,000 the peak of this cycle and we are entered into the very early stages of a bear market? All that and more in today's video. Talk about what is happening, why it's happening, and what to look forward to in the next several weeks. If you're new here, my name is Alex. I provide you daily crypto updates so you're always in the know of what's happening in the crypto space. Enjoy content like that, consider subscribing or following. Enjoy this content, smash up the like. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. If you're at all surprised by the fact that Bitcoin is down, then maybe crypto is not for you. Because when you look at the data, and maybe if you're surprised you haven't looked at the data, and hopefully this video maybe opens your eyes to the data, but the data really speaks for itself. And if you had looked at the data, you could have predicted this from a mile away. Seeing a correction in the month of August, seeing a correction from all-time highs, and seeing kind of the support levels we're currently at right now. But that said, we could see lower support. And we're going to talk about that in today's video. But as you can see, the overall crypto market cap down below $4 trillion. Bitcoin down from 124,000. Ethereum down from about 4950, which I've talked about on X as well. Ethereum has been holding up extremely well compared to the likes of Bitcoin. When Bitcoin was at this price last time, Ethereum was at $3,300. Right now, Ethereum is at $4,600. So it's been very impressive, and this is a good sign for alts, not necessarily alt season, but for alts that they're not really selling off as hard because people are still looking at where is the opportunity. There's still a lot of opportunity. I've been hearing people talk about the likes of Solana. People very, very bullish. BNB hitting all-time highs. BNB went almost to 900. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. You know, if Bitcoin goes back up to 124,000, that's not a huge gain compared to some of the other gains that could be had 3 or 4 times that of what Bitcoin would gain by simply recovering. So I think people are looking at alternative opportunities. But let's look at the data, because the data really speaks for itself. And when you take a look at the data right now, you can see liquidations have been pretty brutal. I mean, you look at the last 24 hours, about $350 million in longs have been liquidated. Shorts, about 152 million. I think shorts having been liquidated more recently. You can kind of see that over the 1 hour and the 4 hour mark because we've seen this recovery for a Bitcoin. And when you take a look at the liquidation, and we're going to look at the heat map, you can kind of see where is going to be some of the pain points. And we're starting to slowly kind of get there. And mind you, this chart only shows all the way back to 115,000. So it doesn't even show that much. And realistically, there's not going to be any pain points to the downside until we really drop below 109,000. And even then, the worst of it is going to be around 108. So I think when you look at where we are right now, shorts are having to cover because we're in an upward trajectory. We're going to look at some charts to kind of see why shorts are maybe covering, why they're buying back, and where this could lead for Bitcoin itself. But I think we could very realistically, I mean, there's not a whole lot between 113 and 114, but I think we could very much see a recovery back to 113,000 without much issue. Now that said, you know, that is going to be depending on the liquidation map that you're looking at. Every map is a little bit different. I think all these models, when you kind of compare them together, kind of paint a pretty decent picture. And why you're seeing right now Bitcoin kind of bouncing, because you're seeing a lot of shorts being liquidated. And there's really a lot of max pressure there's a chart called max pain. And right now, max pain is really being felt by shorts. So as we start to get higher and higher, max pain is getting more and more for the likes of shorts. So when you take a look at the monthly performance, right? Data. When you look at the monthly performance, right now, the median performance for the month of August has been negative 7%. The average has been about a plus 1%. So you're kind of, if you combine those two in the plus and the negative, you're kind of sitting, I mean, you're kind of right there right now. I mean, I think this could be the lowest we go in the month of August. And so I think at that point, people were expecting a little bit of a red month. We have only a few more days left before the month closes out. So I think we may see a slight recovery towards the end of August, but don't be surprised if we see a rough September, where we recover and then it slowly drop back down. And I think there is a worst case scenario, and I don't think we see anything worse than that, because everybody is going to be looking forward to the months of October and November, which historically have been extremely, extremely good. I mean, there's only been 2 times in Bitcoin's history where October was red. Only 2 times where it's been red in Bitcoin's entire history. And that was at periods of the bear market. So I don't think there's not been a time in a recovery market or in a bull market where October was red. So people are going to look at this data. Hopefully you're going to look at this data. And what's going to happen is in September, you're going to have a lot of market makers. You're going to have exchanges really try to push and liquidate Bitcoin down. We're seeing that right now already. They're going to push Bitcoin down as much as possible, so that way they can get their entries for a really, really good October and potentially a really good November as well. But for me, I'm going to be taking a lot of my profits for October and November. And so when you take a look at where are we right now, what is the worst case scenario? And I think in many ways, everyone's going to have their own charts. Everyone's going to have look at their own data in different ways. But right now, Bitcoin is at a very crucial level. If this level holds, we could see a reversal. Otherwise, the dump could be severe. Now, he's saying a dump all the way to 75,000. I don't think we would go anywhere near 75,000. In fact, I don't foresee us going down, maybe down to 100,000 in a very worst case scenario. I'm going to show you a different chart in just a second. But I think this is a very, very worst case scenario. I don't think we would go down that far. I think in a worst case scenario, we'll look at a chart in just a second, we'll be around 100 to 105,000. So either way, I think right now we're still holding this level because this level was prior levels of resistance. Now that has become our level of support. When you look at this chart right here, this is by Cass Abbey, who is talking about the fact that, this looks very similar to what we saw earlier this year. So chart resembles Q2 of 2025. Fractal is uncanny, right? I think in many ways, when you look at this chart, and I'm going to just draw this real quick. So you can see these levels right here before a major bounce, right? And for this, I talked about this in, I think I put a tweet out about it yesterday. We may look at it in just a second. I said the last time Bitcoin touched the 200-day exponential moving average, it bounced. And I said the last time that happened was June 22nd. This is right here, June 22nd. He doesn't have the exponential moving averages on here, but the 200-day exponential moving average, the last time that Bitcoin went down that low on a correction was June 22nd. After that, we saw new all-time highs. Now, it took a few days. It took a little bit of time before we saw those highs. But I think that is what this chart is showing, right? So we're seeing 1, 2, and 3. We saw 1, 2, 3 up here. So I think in many ways, this pump, right, followed by this little correction / sideways, is this pump with, it's just kind of enlarged, if you will, over a longer period of time, right? So we saw, I'm going to just kind of erase this real quick, right? So you can see this massive pump. Let me just erase this so you can kind of see what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to make a point here. So you see a massive pump. We see some correction downward. We see a massive pump. We see a correction downward. And then we go to new all-time highs. So this was our new all-time high. I think we go, this is much larger picture. I think it's going to be larger drawn out because we've got the months of October and November. Mind you, this is a daily chart. So I think we end up somewhere over here around the $130,000 to $150,000 range. I think very realistically. Now, another individual, Phil Cohn, who's a very popular, very good trader overall, put out this chart. This is on a weekly. very, very similar levels, right? As far as prior resistance has now become new support, right? And this is a level that really does need to hold. I think in many ways, the next level we would test is going to be right here, where we are seeing between 100 and 105,000. These levels we may wick down, but these levels before were resistance, and then they became support before we go to all-time highs. So I think very realistically, in a worser case scenario, considering we're still in a bull market, we go down to these levels. I don't foresee us retesting 75,000. I just don't foresee that happening. If something really, really bad happens, it would take a lot for Bitcoin to drop. I mean, you're talking about a 40% drop, if I'm doing my math, maybe a little bit more than that, 30% drop, which is really unprecedented historically for Bitcoin leading into these really, really bullish months. Even though you never had that type of performance in September. So I just don't foresee that happening, even in June when we corrected down all the way. June ended up still being a positive month. So I don't foresee, even if we do, that would be an amazing, I would say that would be one of the best entries ever if we ever go down to that level leading into October. I just don't foresee it happening. I think if we, worst case scenario, we go down to 100,000. So when you take a look at the prediction for a rate cut, you're seeing a lot of financial institutions talking about rate cuts, higher chances of rate cut, 25 basis points for September. We saw that also in the labor report. We saw this pump to 115K. Then we saw the sell-off. And that's one of the things I mentioned the day before the meeting with Jerome Powell. I said, I don't foresee the news being good. I expect it to go to 110K. We were trading at around 113 or so, 112, 113. And surprisingly, Powell said, based on this job data, we may see, our stance may change. Then we had a short-term pump. All of that erased completely within a day or two. And now we're back down to, we hit all the way down to 109,000. So when you take a look at rate cuts, the likelihood of not having a rate cut again in the likes of October is extremely low, right? So very high likelihood for September, definitely a good likelihood for October, and almost certain for December. So everything right now looks really, really good. I think if things continue forward, I think this is setting a perfect storm for a Bitcoin bull market towards the end of October, November. And I think we're going to see really, really exciting things. I think we are going to see new all-time highs printed. But this is what I was saying. This is where you look at levels of resistance, levels of support. So I think even in a worst case scenario, right? We've seen these wicks down here. This back here was 98,000. That's why I think we could see the 22nd of June. I think we could see a wick down to this level as a very worst case scenario. I just don't foresee anything worse than down here as a retest, maybe even back here to the 5th of June. This is a worst case scenario, but I think realistically, we're going to see this level. This level is going to be tested first. If we don't keep this level, then it could be a very easy trade because there's really no other support until you get back down to 100,000. If we don't hold 100,000 is really the next target. And so I think in that type of scenario, if the chart breaks down, if things do get worse, then we could potentially see this happen. But the first level is going to be 105, and then after that, it's going to be at the likes of 100,000. I just don't think it's going to get any worse. Ethereum is just kind of really weird because it's extremely strong, and this dip down here was amazing. We have not gone back to this level for the likes of Ethereum. Ethereum's not touched its 200-day exponential moving average, even though Bitcoin has. So it just goes to show you the strength that Ethereum has right now. And if you are of a higher risk appetite, then taking a look at the likes of Ethereum, I mean, Ethereum's right now at just below 4,600. It spiked all the way here to almost 4,980. So there's a lot of upside still on the likes of Ethereum to go back up, right? So if Bitcoin starts moving, and this dip here that we've seen is just a very short-term correction, and we're regaining the support, which I think this is a good sign, right? We've regained this 110K level on the 4 hour. It's going to be very important to see how this is tested against some of these different EMAs on the different hourly charts. But right now we're doing quite well. I mean, if you look at the hourly actually looks really, really good because we're now above, we broke above the 200-day exponential moving average on the 1 hourly chart. Right now we're testing some of these other levels that we previously broke down below. So I think this is a really, really good thing. Right now we're just going to see some of that resistance. But I think, we're going to go back to this 113K level. This is going to be back on the higher amount, or this is the 200-day. So this is the 20-day. So either way, we're starting to slowly move up across these different levels of support. I think there's a lot of opportunity if you're really into having some maybe higher risk, maybe have that appetite. There could be a really good opportunity in the strength that currently is the ETH chart. So something to consider. Other than that, because there's just, even though when you look at the short-term negativity in the markets, there's still a lot of very good positive things happening in crypto. The US government is to release statistics and data now on the blockchain, so real-world utilization. Standard Chartered calls Ethereum and ETH treasury companies still cheap at these levels. So there's a lot of strength in those companies still, as a lot of them continue to buy up. SharpLink, you're seeing BitMine. All of these companies continue to buy Ethereum on these dips. You even saw a massive Bitcoin whale sell 1,000 Bitcoin and go long an ETH. So, I mean, overall, pretty impressive stuff for the likes of ETH. The other really top performer has been Cronos, the CRO token, which is for Crypto.com, pumping up just today, I think, 20-30%? Yeah, up 34% almost, because Trump Media is going to be purchasing 6.4 billion CRO token treasury, largely on equity line of credit. So they are going to be teamed up to create a digital asset treasury dedicated to stockpiling CRO, native token of the Cronos blockchain. I think this is pretty impressive overall to see something like this. This is why you're seeing the Crypto.com token pump so hard. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this chart, right? On a big picture, on a large scale, where do you think August closes out? We only have a few days left. How does it set us up for the month of September? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, smash a like. Enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. Until next time, guys, stay invested.